Hi, today we're going to explain and show to you what is ecology and biodiversity by creating a biodiversity in a pot, or what we call a terrarium.
First off, what is biodiversity? Ecosystem and a habitat.
Biodiversity is a variety of life in the world or in a particular habitat or ecosystem.
An ecosystem is a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. And a habitat is a natural home or environment of an animal, plant, or organisms.
Now, we're gonna answer some essential questions related to ecology.
Ecology is the study of organisms and how they interact with the environment around them. An example of ecology is studying a food web chain. A web chain is made up of these components: the sun, producers, consumers, and decomposers. As what we have stated, biodiversity is a variety of life in the world or in a particular habitat or ecosystem. It supports ecological life. It provides functioning ecosystems that supply oxygen, clean air and water, pollination of plants, pest control, wastewater treatment, and many ecosystem services. Just like any ecosystem, a self-sustaining ecosphere needs light for primary production and nutrient cycling. The environment must find an ecological balance and be able to support the survival and reproduction of all organisms living inside it. A self-sustaining ecosphere is essentially a finely balanced plant ecosystem sealed within a closed container. That means the plant's environmental conditions, microfauna, inhabitants, and even the container itself must all be carefully considered so that they can work in harmony together.
Speaking of ecological balance, we must think of ecological imbalance too. Ecological imbalance is when a natural or human-caused disturbance disrupts the natural balance of an ecosystem.
There are various types of ecosystem, and in the Philippines, we have forest, mangrove, agricultural, marginal, urban, coral reef, freshwater and seagrass, and soft-bottom ecosystems.
And in the island of Negros, biodiverse dipterocarp forest was famous in colonial times, where towering hardwoods sheltered rare endemic animals, provided important ecosystem services to its residents.
Forest consists not only of living biotic components like trees, animals, plants, and other living things, but also of non-living abiotic components such as soil, water, air, and landforms.
Okay, now let's proceed to the main part of this video, the terrarium.
A terrarium is a self-sustaining indoor garden sealed in a container. The plant and the soil in the terrarium release water vapor, essentially recycling water. The vapor is then collected onto the walls of the vessel and trickles down to the soil. A terrarium is also called glass garden, boarding case, or vivarium. It's arranged for keeping plants or terrestrial, semi-terrestrial animals indoors. The purpose of this may be decoration, scientific observation, or plant-animal propagation. Without further ado, let's now proceed in setting up the terrarium.
Of course, the materials had to be prepared first. A small fish tank, charcoal, gravel, potting soil, moss, pebbles, small plants, and some decorative items. We first pulverized the charcoal, activated it, and cracked the gravel into small pea gravel pieces before layering them. After that, we started layering up activated charcoal, followed by small pea gravel pieces and the potting soil. The charcoal layer helps absorb any toxins that might impact the health of your plants or odors which might build up in the terrarium. The gravel layer serves as a water drainage system in your terrarium bottle. It drains away any excess water into your terrarium soil layer. Too much water is a risk that the roots of your terrarium plant might rot. The soil layer serves as the nutrient layer for the plants in your terrarium. And we made certain that the layers were even by flattening them.
Next, We planted the small plants, then covered the soil with moss and pebbles. The moss absorbs any excess water from the soil. Finally, we decorated it with more pebbles, shells, bark, and a twig. Snails and ants were also used as finishing touches. Insects may act as protection, dispersers, or fertilizers for plants, while plants may be a food or energy source or nest location for insects. Though the bulk of the function of the decorative layer is for the purpose of aesthetics, there is actually a good secondary function to it. It actually protects any exposed roots of your plant by covering it up from direct sunlight and also acts as another supportive layer for your plants. And voila! There we have our biodiversity in a tank. Before we end this video, we, the presenters, desire to answer an important question related to our topic. What are the factors limiting population growth? Limiting factors are resources or other factors in the environment that can lower the population growth rate. Limiting factors include a low food supply and lack of space. Limiting factors can lower birth rates, increase death rates, or lead to immigration. Thank you, that would be all, and always remember to let the earth breathe.